Hi, I'm Maggie Ridgway, and when it comes to gender bias, people normally think about federal government, pink tax, and other things that local communities can't do much to fight against. However, gender bias is a thing that happens every single day to many women. This video is to shed light on exactly those kinds of experiences. For me, it was going to Savers and buying a medical book, and the cashier asked if I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't want my gender to define who I was and how far I could go in the medical field.
I was going to help take out the recycling in all of the classes during my seminar period. And so I passed by my partner in the hallway and he just finished a room and he was like, "Oh, go ahead and go to the next room." I told her that you were coming, just go ahead and go in and grab it. So I walked in and she was like, "Oh, can I help you? Do you need help on something?" And so I walked in and I was like, "Oh no, I'm just taking out the recycling." And she was like, "Oh, well, I was waiting for the other boy to come." And I was like, "Oh no, I'm his partner, I'm just coming to grab it." And she was like, "Well, do you need help?" And I was like, "No, I'm okay." It wasn't her intention to sound like, oh, girls can't take out boxes or whatever. But it was definitely an interesting experience for me.
A specific time where I felt gender bias is anything related to sports. I feel like whenever I mention I play sports or I watch sports, it's always a second guessing sort of thing, It's like, can she actually play sports? Does she actually know? So I think that is a specific time where I feel a gender bias.
My personal experience with gender bias is my love for video games. So I've grown up with brothers that just introduced me to video games, and then I just started to love them as I grew up. And when I expressed my interest to my guy friends, they were like, "Oh, you only like video games because you want attention from guys." And it's really just because I love video games. It's not really because of that reason. So that was an example of gender bias for me.
I have definitely felt looked down on for being a girl at times. One time would be in, I think it was 7th grade, and it was in PE, and we were playing dodgeball. There were 2 people left at the end, and it was me and another boy. And immediately everyone was like, "Oh, he's gonna win because you're a girl." Now that I think back on it, I'm like, well, why was that their immediate assumption, that he has more athletic capability than I do? And I definitely think that showed a bit of misogyny, but I just didn't understand it at the time. But now I do, and I definitely see that was wrong and it shouldn't happen like that.
My most prominent experience was with competitive soccer. I've played it all my life, and around the age 12 to 13, I decided to move to an all-boys club. In the very first game that I played with the boys, not one single one of them passed it to me. I only got balls and turnovers, and only when I started getting assists and goals is when they actually saw me as a good soccer player and not just a female out there. And I also got passed up for a lot of the same awards and accolades I could have gotten with the same stats or even better stats than I had than them. But I was female, so I just got overlooked by the dominated males.
So something that has affected me was my decision to go into the business field rather than the medical field. It was really hard to convince some of the people in my life that was the right decision for me. They kind of assumed that because I was a girl, I'd probably be guaranteed success and a job if I were to go into the medical field, but if I were to go down the business path, I'd probably fail, and no one would see potential in me because I was a girl. I didn't really let it affect my decision because I realized early on that I didn't need to convince anyone about what I wanted to do, but I did think about it a lot, and I still do to this day. And so I think that by listening to these stories, we can all grow and learn from one another, and we can better ourselves and the people around us. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!